poetry course for first grade at the College of Basic Education, Department of English Language. We are considering Mastering Poetry by Sarah Thorne as the textbook of the course. Mastering Poetry by Sarah Thorne aims at providing students with the ability to understand and appreciate poetry, to recognize the various aspects of poetry, including form, structure, imagery, symbolism, and poetic devices, to analyze classic and contemporary poems and to illustrate key concepts, and to be able to write poetry investing in their talent. So to start with is the definition of poetry as the start point. What is poetry? Simply, we can define poetry as metrical writing, verse, where the production of a poet is called poem, and the poet is the person who produces poems in the form of metrical writing. There is a more detailed definition of poetry as writing that formulates concentrated imaginative awareness of experience in language chosen and arranged to create a specific emotional response through meaning, sound, and rhythm. This definition is by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Poetry is also defined as a form of writing vital to culture, art, and life. Now we come to the distinctive features of poetry. Among the distinctive features of poetry, we have end-stopped lines and run-on lines, where end-stopped lines are lines of poetry where we have punctuation mark at the end of the line indicating that the meaning or the grammatical structure of the line is completed. Opposite to it is the run-on line in poetry, where the grammatical structure or the meaning continues so that we go on to the next line and there is no punctuation mark at the end of the line until the meaning is completed or the grammatical structure is completed in the next line or the line after. There is form, where we will get introduced to stressed and unstressed syllables, metrical feet, and rhythm. Another distinctive feature of poetry is caesura. The caesura is a stop within the verse or within the poetry line. And this stop is marked by a punctuation mark such as comma, a full stop, an exclamation mark, or a question mark, among other punctuation marks. Form, on the other hand, as we have just mentioned, has within its folds the stressed and unstressed syllables, where in poetry syllables can be stressed, which means emphasized or strong, or unstressed, that is not emphasized or weak. Then the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables in a line, in a poetry line, contributes to its rhythm. For example, in the word poetry, the first syllable po is stressed, while the second syllable it is unstressed. That's why we say poetry, but we don't say poetry. Poetry, the first syllable is stressed. As for the metrical feet, Metrical feet are the building blocks of poetic meter, consisting of patterns of stressed and unstressed syllables. So, after we came to know the stressed and unstressed syllables, where nouns usually have the stressed syllable at the beginning of the word, we cut the syllables of, that's the virtual cutting, of words based on vowel sounds where they appear in the word. And when we have a sentence, then we cut virtual cutting again, based on the appearance of the vowel sounds among the words of the sentence. So again, we have metrical feet patterns such as iam, where the unstressed syllable is followed by a stressed syllable. For example, today. We don't say today, we say today. So the stress, the strong one, the emphasized one, is the second syllable, today. Then we have the trochee, the stressed syllable followed by unstressed syllable, such as tiger. We don't say tiger, we say tiger. So the stress is on the first syllable. And we have another pattern that is anapest, where we have two unstressed syllables followed by a stressed syllable. For example, understand, understand. We don't say understand, we don't say understand, we say understand. Dactyl, stressed syllable followed by two unstressed syllables. Merrily, merrily, not merrily, nor merrily. We say merrily. And then we have the spondee, two stressed syllables, such as true love, true love. Two successive stressed or strong or emphasized syllables. So metrical feet are of 5 different types, as shown here. So rhythm in poetry refers to the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables that creates a musical quality or flow within the poem. It's the arrangement of syllables and accents that gives the poem its pace and cadence. Rhythm can be regular or irregular, depending on the meter and form of the poem. It helps establish the overall tone and mood of the poem, influencing how it is read and interpreted by the audience. When we talk about rhythm, sometimes we have a monometer where a line of verse comes with one metrical foot, such as iambic monometer. Remember, we talked about iambic, it is the unstressed, stressed. It is a foot where we have unstressed followed by stressed syllable. So when we have one repetition of this foot, the iambic, in a line of poetry, it means we have iambic monometer, mono, one. So an example of that is the sun, the sun. We don't say the sun, we say the sun. So the emphasized, the strong, the stressed is sun. And you have the explanation appears below. Then we have diameter, which is a line of verse with two metrical feet. So the metrical feet in the previous example, when we have mono feet, monometer, we had iambic. This time the example is with trochaic. And we have this trochaic repeated twice. So we have trochaic diameter. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. So in a trochee, we have stressed and stressed. Twinkle, twinkle. And this is repeated twice. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. In the same way, we keep having repetition of feet, and the number of repetition of these patterns, such as iambic, trochee, dactylic, etc., have its name. So when we have 3 repetitions, we have trimeter. When we have 4, we have tetrameter. When we have 5, it's pentameter. When we have 6, is hexameter, and so on up to 8, that is octameter. So we have more examples, like iambic pentameter, which is 5 iambs, that is 10 syllables, 10 of unstressed, stressed, okay? That time of year thou mayest in me behold. That time of year thou mayest in me behold. And so on. You have examples as shown. Now we come to poetic form. In poetic form, we have end rhyme, blank verse, free verse, and form. End rhyme occurs when the final words in a line of poetry rhyme. It is the most common type of rhyme, the end rhyme. The rhymes can be perfect, slant, para, or semi. For example, AB end rhyme occurs when the last word in lines 1 and 3 rhyme together and the last words in lines 2 and 4 rhyme together. Robert Frost employs this rhyme scheme in Neither Out Far Nor In Deep. So it reads like, the people along the sand all turn and look one way. They turn their back on the land. They look at the sea all day. So we have sand, land, and way, day. As for blank verse is a literary term that refers to poetry written in unrhymed but metered lines, almost always iambic pentameter. So blank verse, while we don't have rhyme, we still have a disciplined pattern of iambic pentameter in most cases, but sometimes we have like less than 10 syllables, okay? Uh, so we may have iambic tetrameter. Free verse is poetry that does not rhyme or have a regular meter. It is an open form of poetry, which in its modern form arose through the French verse libre form. It does not use consistent meter patterns, as does the blank verse, rhyme, or any musical pattern. It thus tends to follow the rhythm of natural speech. Thank you.